Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it.
Look at the Thompson! They haven't got it! He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly, Miller's still start trouble. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's gonna do it! Big Barry!
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel and welcome back to some Tuesday night action. Hopefully you're not in for a trick or a treat here tonight. Happy Halloween to everyone at home. Of course, my name is Zach Sweeney. Dean Biggles alongside me in the commentary booth, and we are in for one hell of a week of racing here for these guys. We go down under to Phillip Island, one of my favourite circuits, and should be a lot of fun in these MX5 machines. Yeah, Biggles, welcome, and of course, welcome back to the UkSimracers. It's been a long time since these guys have seen you here. How you doing? What are you looking forward to?
Well, it's great. We are down under course, just south of Melbourne in Victoria, Australia. Yes, one of those circuits that I do love as well, too. It's pretty flat there, and you're basically on an island, so you're surrounded by the coastline everywhere and the beautiful conditions of Australia down here. Not too hot, not too cold. We'll see on the track conditions, but yes, great to be here. Yes, and I'm not taking the trick. I'll take the treat, please.
Oh, maybe we'll have a twister turn. Maybe we'll get both. Maybe we'll tick all the boxes of Halloween. And let's take a quick look as to how things are looking in the championship standings. Of course, we are ticking our way through the season quite quickly. We're already on to round 8 of 12. As it stands, of course, Tom Griffiths leads the way on 938 points, a mere 2 ahead of John Sylvester on 938 and 936 respectively. Jamie is a little bit further down, but on 909. Remember, there are 60 points on offer for a win. So when you think about it, the top 4 with PVG on 882 are separated by less than a race win, and that's 4 drivers, which is incredibly close. Miles Owens rounds off the top 5 ahead of Ewan Bramer, Steve Hefford, Sean Yunye leading the way in the AM Championship, and to be fair, only 6 points off Steve Hefford in the overall championship. Just goes to show the amazing season the Frenchman has had, and he rounds off just in behind in 8th. Pete Newman, Ralph Cullen in the top 10 in the overall championship. Of course, in the AM Championship themselves, we go through the likes of Sean Yunye. Then we go to Morton, Wright in P3. Then we've got Littler and Longo, the top 5, of course, after the 8 rounds that we've had so far. So should be in for a lot of fun, especially with how close the championship is and how we are going to be ending the 12 weeks. 4 is a third, so we're going to be ending off the second third of the season tonight, which means we are firmly towards the business end, Biggles, and that means that points are vital.
Yes, they certainly are if you're coming to the business end of the championship. So now it's crunch time where you can't afford to make any crazy mistakes, unless you're so far back that you really need to make some gambles, let's say, perhaps to try to get yourself in some places up there and give yourself a stab in the dark there, trying to get the best results you possibly can at the end of the season. As you can see during our practice session, with just under 3 minutes to go, you have Mr. Daniel Hunt at the top of the timesheets, but that's by 4/100,000ths of a second over Pete Newman. But of course, it is only practice, no points for practice, but it'll give you an indication perhaps of what it's going to be like heading into our qualifying session.
Yeah, and to be fair, I mean, Phillip Island, well, that was not the way to do things, Tom Griffiths. Anyway, yeah, Phillip Island, I mean, it looks like a fairly short circuit, but in these MX5s, you're coming up to sort of 2 minutes in length. Obviously, you can see there a minute 45. So it's not the shortest circuit in the world. There are still a lot of places for you to gain and lose time, especially with a lot of tricky corners. Turn 1, 2, very, very difficult complex to get right. Lukey Heights into the downhill braking zone for the hairpin. Again, another very tricky corner that could be do or die. Here at Siberia, getting the apex right, getting the drive off the corner towards this flat out section of the circuit. So much he's riding on a lot of these corners around this lap, and a lot of it is, make or break of the lap. You could easily gain or lose a 10th or 2 either way. Dan Hunt, Pete Newman, John Sylvester separated by less than a 10th of a second. Steve Hefford, Ayres and Griffiths not a million miles away either. As you say, it's only practice, but definitely positive signs going into the qualifying session, and then of course the 4 races to come.
You couldn't have said it any better. Welcome everybody in the chat there, Ria and Phil across the pond. It's been a while, Phil, since you and I have chatted. So please make sure you do pick on Zachary as much as possible. Help me out there. I love that little ongoing relationship that you have out there.
It's an interesting one. Let's put it that way. Phil's all right. He's a nice guy. We've also, of course, I can see Ria Raccoon. I can see Summer Farmer States in the YouTube chat as well. So make sure you are coming in. Make sure you are saying hello. We don't bite. We promise. We didn't go as vampires or zombies for Halloween. In fact, I didn't even go trick or treating today, and that's really sad. However, when I did get home, I was immediately roped into some apple bobbing with my family. And for those that are unfamiliar with what apple bobbing is, I don't know if it's a UK or an international thing. Basically, you fill a bowl with water, you put apples in it, and you go and grab them with your head. And it's as simple as that, and it is a lot of fun. So I came into my room to... Do you not know what apple bobbing is?
I never heard of the term. I know what the process is, but I never heard it was called that.
Ah, fair enough. Yeah, because you're bobbing for apples, I suppose. But yeah, that's what it is. So I came into my room completely drenched because my hair is an absolute bush. For anyone that has ever seen me, I suppose, you know that I've got a bird's nest on my head, so I am drenched. Let's put it that way. Anyway, back onto topic. Ria Raccoon says, Zach hasn't been bitey to me lately because now I can report him to HR. You can't report me to HR because there isn't an HR. We don't have an HR. The HR is James. And I don't even want to know how many broadcasts I've done for James in the last month. Let's see. The 10th. Let's go with that one. So from the 2nd of October all the way to there. So that's going to be 25, including today, 26. 26 broadcasts for James over the course of October. All right. Actually, minus a couple. Maybe let's call it 24 broadcasts for James over the course of October. You know, HR is going to favour me, Ria. All right. Let's just leave it at that.
You can
anyway,
file the complaints with me. It's fine. I'll pass them on to James. Not a problem there, Ria.
Yeah, I'm not too worried. I'm JPB Employee of the Month. I'm surprised I haven't been given a mug though. I would like my mug.
Where did this come from?
It's just me. I just know. James knows it. He's too polite to tell everyone. I'm joking. If anyone, it's probably going to be Ewan O'Leary or someone of the like, because he's pretty good at what he does. To be fair, as are we all. We all are pretty decent, I suppose. Even you, Biggles. Even you. Sometimes you're all right, I suppose.
Wow, we're getting a compliment. Jeez.
I know.
It's definitely nice Halloween, isn't it? That's for sure.
No. You think it's a treat, but it's going to be a trick later on. Don't you worry. Qualifying underway right now. And of course, here at Phillip Island, there is a lot of lap time to be gained. But all of these cars, we have got a decent chunk in attendance. What have we got? Upwards of 20 or so out on circuit, which is a decent number around, you know, a fairly narrow circuit. It could get a little bit busy out here in qualifying.
Well, it's very busy at the moment as everybody's come out pretty quickly to get some laps in. We're going to ride on board with Daniel here for a little bit because you can see he's making a little bit of a slowing down, so he's not too close there, getting temperature into the tires. You can see the information to your right hand side there of his dashboard, of his gears, of course, and his miles per hour. And I have no idea what that is. It should be kilometers per hour, but then again, we'll stick with that old prehistoric system. And we'll see whether or not Daniel can continue that form. He's got number 1 on his car, so if you want to be number 1 in qualifying, my friend, put in the best lap you can around Phillip Island. As Zach's going to take us on a hot lap guide, in just a minute.
Oh yeah, I sometimes whenever I'm in the commentary booth with Biggles, the first lap in qualifying is always me that talks through it. Anyway, I'm much obliged because I love Phillip Island. It's a circuit that I didn't really know until I got into commentary. And the first lap I ever did of it in a GT3, I think it was a Ferrari 488 Speciale, I think it is in iRacing. It was the first lap I ever did of Phillip Island. I fell in love with it. Into turn number 1, use all the curb on the left-hand side. These MX5s can take it quite quickly. You can see 120 mile an hour apex speed, keeping it in 5th gear, rising slightly uphill towards turn 2. Now, this is a corner that you drive on instinct, keeping it nice and tight, you can see, but just allowing the car to run a little bit wide. Then your apex point, it changes lap after lap depending on how the car's feeling. You just have to respond and listen to what the car wants, build the power up gradually, run the car wide, flat out as you run your way towards the hairpin. Probably a decent overtaking opportunity come the race, but here in qualifying it's a very difficult corner to spot your apex perfectly because it's a very flat going in. You can barely see the apex point. Hit it nicely, 52 mile an hour on the apex. Build up the speed gradually before you immediately now have to start thinking about the next hairpin corner. This one uphill, cambered on the apex as well, so really just nip the car in, rotate it, straight line the exit. Do not touch the power until you can smash it through the floor. Now, up through the S's, completely flat through the left, completely flat now through the right, and this the make or break of the lap. Dan Hunt has closed in on those trainer cars in front, so it definitely does seem to be positive signs of a good lap. Chuck the car in into Lukey Heights, hit a nice early apex, ride the wave over the crest before you immediately dip back down, immediately onto the brakes as soon as you head over into the slope. Nice apex, keeping it nice and tight, build up the power gradually, bring it over to the right, chuck it into the left, hit the apex, smash the car to the floor because you are going to be near on flat out from here all the way to turn number 1. Let's see how Dan Hunt does all the way through here. A little bit of slipstream from the car ahead could well sort of force the car to understeer, but it seemed to be a very tidy lap so far from Dan Hunt. John Sylvester sets the benchmark at 152.8 here in qualifying. Daniel Hunt across the line. Is it going to be anywhere near? No, unfortunately. It's not. Oh, no, it is. It's a 146.1. He gets himself to pole provisionally because Pete Newman beats him on a 146.
What a lap. What a lap. Exactly. So you're going to be happy with that one. Get that banker lap in there. So in case you made any mistakes, things like that, you have more opportunities to go around again. Whilst you're still getting down to, 4 minutes or so in qualifying. Of course, we are doing 146 laps now. It's a 146 flat from Mr. Pete Newman. So you get an indication. I presume all these drivers at the moment would just stay out for the whole qualifying session and get the temperature into the tyres and into the car there, and also find those gaps on the track there and get a little bit of a slipstream we can see. And we can see Ivan Bremer here, tucked up with his teammates around him, working together using the slipstream. Now, is he too close? Do you think he's going to get compromised, Zach? Or is he still good for getting a nice little launch off here?
Yeah, I mean, it can help. Of course, the SOB cars are fairly touch and go with their teamwork together, but for the most part, they do like to work quite nicely together. Let's see if there are going to be any shenanigans going on. The problem is that even though they can trust each other to run really close, one small mistake and both laps are in the bin. So these guys really do have to be quite careful. And that's the thing, is that even if they are your teammates, just give them an extra car length, because at the end of the day, it's your qualifying session.
You're absolutely right. You see purple sector 1, sector 2 is personal best. Of course, let's see how he's going to handle it. He's backed off a little bit from his teammate up the road. Let's see how the SOB racing team, I don't want to ask what SOB is. Pretty sure I know what it is, but anyway.
No. Have a go. What do you think?
Well, coming up in a second is he gets the time on the board as I avoid the question. It goes up at a P3, 48 thousandths of a second. That's pretty close. You'd be happy with that time on the board. Super obstacle beasts.
Okay, Biggles. So the drivers for SOB are John Sylvester,
right,
Miles Owens, and Ewan Bremer.
Oh, there you go. Makes perfect
there
sense. Well, you got Miles in P2 and Bremer in P3, so all they need is an S up there. And then say, John Sylvester, you need to get P1, my friend. And then you got SOB for the top 3.
They would do indeed. There you go. So, see, just had to be confident in yourself. No, it wasn't a funny acronym. I don't know if these three are clever enough to make a clever acronym. So there you go. No, I'm joking.
You're taking a stab at the drivers now, my friend.
Of course I am. Of course I am. I always do. I'm Zach Sweeney.
Be careful. I'm in the casting box with you, okay? You don't let them slam one of those cars straight into the commentary box. Yeah, they can when I go out for a quick break, and then you can do it, guys.
Yeah, well, they'll have to avoid each other before they can aim for me. Honestly, I am definitely not on these guys' shortlist for anything. Let's put it that way. But it's fine, because it is what it is at the end of the day. Also, by the way, Dan Hunt, Miles Owens, not really separated by anything at all. Their lap time, a 45.555 for Daniel Hunt, a 45.556 for Miles Owens. You really cannot get much closer than that. You physically can't get closer than that unless it's the exact same lap time down to the 1/1000th of a second. So fair play to these guys. I have to say, I am mightily impressed at the competitiveness of the lap times. I mean, even down to Darrell Wright, the top 13, only separated by a second and a half.
You could get physically closer. You just have to start talking nanometers as we're watching Colin Samsung run off the track a little bit. But if you look at him, he's the faster of the AM class at the moment, as he's got quite a bit of a gap, you have to say, there to Mr. Darrell Wright, the Safeguard Bike Result clothing car.
Up into the top 10 as it stands for Colin Sansom, who, to be fair, as a driver, I don't think we've seen Sansom over the last couple of weeks. Maybe I'm just forgetful, but I really cannot remember seeing him, at least since sort of round 4 or 5. Maybe that is just me chatting complete and utter waffle, but Who knows? I honestly, I don't remember the last time I've seen Colin Sansom. So it is nice to see him back. As it stands, he is pole position in the AM class. What I can see is no Arnaud Chagnon. So he's had a week off, which of course is going to play into his drop score. Of course, they get 2 over the course of the season. So to use 1 on a DNS means you've got to nail pretty much the rest of the season, Biggles.
Yes, you do. You can't afford to have those drop weeks very often, but of course there are some holidays and things like that at the moment for Halloween, so don't expect an absolute every driver to be able to turn up. And as Phil just reading, Phil's saying, it's in the AM class, the AM. All right there, Phil. Yeah, I didn't realise you get into this whole Halloween thing over in the UK as much as obviously they do in the United States.
Yeah, I mean, we do and we don't as such. The thing with...
Oh, you're losing your internet there a little bit there, Zachary. Your mum just turned the microwave on and you've interfered with your Wi-Fi.
Oh, there we go. No, I'm back. It's fine. Discord decided to have a moment. Basically, in the UK, we dress up as something scary. We go around to people's houses. We knock on their door. We ask for sweets.
I lost Zach there again for a sec. Yep, ask for sweets, I guess. Let's call it candy. Sweets.
Some problems.
Yes. Are you there, Zach?
I am. Here we go. Yeah, there we go.
AM's a radio frequency. So, I know, Phil.
Yeah, that is true. So yeah, we dress up, we get sweets, we go home, we scoff our faces. I think in the US it's like blown to be a huge thing. Like, oh man, let's go get some, whatever, just whatever they do. I'm not from the USA, so I couldn't tell you. Rhea, do indulge us as to what Halloween is like over in the US. The thing with Halloween in the US though is I don't think they see it as scary. I think they see it as fancy dress.
Yes.
Because in the UK you've got people going as zombies and Ghostface and Freddy Krueger and Jason and blah 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 blah. And in America you've got people as going as like police officers and doctors and this that. And it's not necessarily scary as such. But I think it is a much bigger thing in the US than it is in the UK. The UK, we just see it as an opportunity to get free sweets and watch horror films downstairs. And then on the 1st of November, about half of the UK, it's a big controversy really in the UK. Half of them on November 1st are immediately.
Losing again a second there, Zach.
Oh, I honestly, Discord just freezes and then I know it's happened. What I was saying is that, the split in the UK is that the 1st of November is either recovering from Halloween, i.e., you've had a little bit too much to drink and you're recovering, and then the other is, oh my god, it's November 1st, let me put my Christmas tree up. And there's no two ways about it, unfortunately.
Well, in the States, you've got, like, as we was talking about it, well, you should actually go on the New York subway, my friend. When I lived in New York City, people get dressed up on Halloween and they really put some effort into it. It looks very, very freaky, some of those outfits you see. People get a chance. But straight after Halloween, of course, you get into Thanksgiving in the United States, which you don't have there in the UK.
Do they?
So, yep, they do.
I thought Thanksgiving was September.
Thanksgiving, hang on. Am I getting it all wrong on this one now? Uh-oh.
Hang on, Thanksgiving.
Ooh, what's happened to James? Daniels has pulled off the side of the road there and been elected. That's
Oh,
not
no.
be. I thought it was. I haven't lived in the States for a few years now.
What do they celebrate Thanksgiving for?
What?
Is it for the founding fathers?
Well, you need some education, my dear friend. You got your eyes glued into a book about motorsports, which of course you are studying at the moment.
Thanksgiving is a national holiday celebrated in the United States, Canada, Grenada, St. Lucia, blah, 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 blah.
Well, we give a history lesson to everybody out there. We've got 2 minutes left of qualifying. The top 3 are in the pit road, and you've still got Tom out here. You've got John Sylvester. So it's up to John here to do anything about that with his teammates if he wants to get the S in SOB racing to the top. I don't think he's going to be able to take that time away from Mr. Daniel as he crosses the line. It doesn't improve on his time. It's 1/10 off there. Tom's still out there on track. And Zachary's doing a little bit of research.
I'm just confused because Google's telling me that it's celebrated every year on the 4th Thursday in November. But I don't understand why.
There you go, Ria will explain it.
However, the history of it is bad. Is it anything to do with colonialism, maybe? I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. Like, July the 4th, I get.
The Pilgrims, there it is. Yes.
Oh, celebrating the Pilgrims. Okay, cool. I didn't know that. Thank you for indulging into me, Phil. Because, again, in the UK, we do not learn anything about the USA. I can't... Well, the only thing I learned about the USA was... Well, no, because in schools, we don't...
No, but I mean, you don't need to, because you've got... Just turn on the television, and generally something you'll be watching is going to be in or around the United States. So Hollywood essentially is teaching everybody about the United States. That's how it works. That's where I grew up as well, too, watching American television shows and British television shows, and so I learned most of the culture. And you learn Australian culture by watching Neighbours and things like that.
What?
But you don't watch television anyway. Other people out there might get it. There's a battle on the track at the moment going on between the two drivers, realizing that this is a qualifying session, but Tom just wanted to get the overtake done and try to improve on his time. With that, probably compromise his time more than anything. You saw the middle sector is down from his previous fast laps. We are coming to the very closure now of our qualifying session for our round 8 live at Phillip Island. Down under. I don't know exactly how far it would be from Albert Park. That would be your closest track. We lost you again there.
We have. I do apologise, ladies and gentlemen. We are having some technical difficulties here on Discord, but what I can tell you is that qualifying has drawn itself to a close in pretty good fashion, it must be said. We'll bring up the grid, of course, as soon as we can before we get ourselves raring to go for race number 1. Do get yourself your predictions into the Cup here on JPB on a Tuesday. So make sure that you are making the most of the opportunity to get yourself some good points. Ladies and gentlemen, the grid... as I say, we'll bring you up as soon as we can. There it is. Daniel Hunt takes pole position in the end by quite some margin. Half a second clear of Miles Owens. Ewan Bramer, Tom Griffiths, the first 2 rows ahead of John Sylvester. Pete Newman in 6th. Steve Hefford, PVG in 7th and 8th. Then comes Ralph Cullinan. Colin Sansom, the top 10. Lee Deemer, Darren McLean, keep each other company on row 6 before we head ourselves down. Charles Kellerman, Darrell Wright, Roger Morton in 15th. Then comes Andy Littler, Fiona Siddons and Jamie Ayres, the top 9 rows. Sir Alan Toon, Mick Barry, the 20-car field we've got here today. Down under for Phillip Island. Biggles, I know you're not that experienced with these guys, but who's coming out on top? In fact, actually, I'll ask you in just a second, because we are underway down under. A very, very poor start from Tom Griffiths immediately out of the gates. That's going to allow, of course, Pete Newman and Steve Hefford to both get an equal jump as they run their way towards turn number 1. A slight downhill decline as they run through pretty much flat out in these MX5s off the start. Dan Hunt leads from Owens, Bramer, Sylvester, Newman and Hefford. Oh my goodness me, Pete Newman launching his way across the track. Oh, well, that is not the way that he would have wanted to start his race 1.
No, it was he's launching across the track. Everyone else got away quite well, actually, you have to say. Just so you can see, Griffins has lost a couple of places, but everybody else, the top 3, have not changed, and John has gained a position. You have to give it to Pete Van Gool here, isn't it? Like 3 positions gained, and he's on the hunt for another one.
He is, yeah. PVG always looking to make some progress forward, of course. Quickly get yourselves your predictions into the YouTube chat, Piggles. I don't know who you want to go for. Just type it in so Ria can stay on top of it in James's absence. But what a start that we've had here in Phillip Island. Everyone on top of their game, and a huge moment for Pete Newman, I should say. Talk us through the start then, Piggles. What's gone on here, and more importantly, what's gone wrong?
The replay at the moment, I'm just looking at Daniel. So we're going to find out right now. So he's got a good launch off, you could see. He's moved in immediately to cover. Should be running at full speed here. Kind of feels like it's a little slow, but it is what it is. And then we're going to continue to watch him into turn 1. What do you think has gone wrong here, actually? Actually, Daniel's fine. It showed me that Daniel crashed. He did not crash. Anyway, it's a little bit all over the place because I'm stepping in here for James. And he has it configured a little bit differently than what I do. But we will get it figured out. We have plenty of racing ahead of us this evening. I'm still avoiding the question of who do you think is going to be your predictions. You're not going to get me that easy, Rhea. Very, very spicy and dicey at the top of the timesheet at the moment there, Zachary, as I know you're still having some issues cutting in and out. We'll
yeah, unfortunately, Discord, I honestly, I can only apologise, ladies and gentlemen at home. We are trying our best to of course, work through it, but of course it is having a bit of an impact into the broadcast itself. We will look into it, and I will try and sort it as soon as I can. In the meantime, though, let's just look at the amazing racing that we've got at hand. We've got Daniel Hunt being chased by OBS, I suppose, in the form of Owens, Bramer and Sylvester queuing up behind him, fighting for the lead. Of course, the entirety of the top 9, Biggles, separated by no more than half a second.
Yep, that's actually very, very impressive. You can see on your timing tower. So they're going to be very close. It's hard to overtake, as you're well aware. As you can see, if you're going to have to send one, you have to send one up the inside and hope that the car manages to stick and that you do get the traction. I'm going to just have a look at what happened to Mick Barry here in the replay. It's interesting. He's gone up onto the chicane there, and I have to imagine here that there's a tag from behind. No, just a little bit too deep into the corner there as he got caught out, and that resulted in a little bit of a car park jam on the first lap of the race 1 heat that we are at the moment. And still, Daniel Hunt leads the way and leads the pack from his very, very fast qualifying lap time that was very close, of course, by Mr. Miles Owen and Mr. Bremer behind them, the Dutch driver.
Yes, the Flying Dutchman of Ewan Bramer has managed to pull out a couple of good results. Now we run away to the pit straight. Of course, still 11 minutes left to go in this race. To the right-hand side goes Miles Owens. He is going to take the lead away. Are they going to freight train him in the form of the SOB machines? No, they're not. Dan Hunt is able to stay ahead of the rest of the pack and settle down in second. But look at this. John Sylvester all over the rear end. Dan Hunt immediately on the counter-attack. The space opens up. What a beautiful move from Ewan Bramer, as now Miles Owens is forced wide. John Sylvester picks his way through in sensational fashion. It's great racing, but it's a civil war between the teammates. Dan Hunt leads from Bramer and Sylvester the podium.
Ah, that's absolutely amazing, leaving the door open like that. And here it is now. It's Bramer and Hunt going for it. So can he do it? It's going to be very tight here to look at that for a second, because we're still apologising for the gremlins in Zach's house that are occurring. That's right, they're creeping in at the moment on Halloween.
Yeah, for whatever reason, I don't know why. Maybe someone, of course, dipped them in water. It has been raining, so, you know, maybe they've just kept multiplying and therefore kept chewing away at the internet cables. Let's take another look as to what happened here, because it is a masterclass. Turn number 2, of course, a long way round. Hunt goes to the inside. Ewan Bramer, I don't even know if that was on purpose or not. He just took the racing line. The space opened up. Owens gave him the space, and then Sylvester was just like, all right, cheers. I'll take third as well if you're offering, Miles. Found his way past. Of course, they are all in a voice chat together, so they're either laughing or crying about it. Sir Alan Toon getting his elbows out, fighting away with Roger Morton, who seems to be very nippy in front-wheel drive machines. However, rear-wheel drive tin top sports cars, unfortunately, maybe not to be... And
it's going spicy at the top of the timesheets once again. And these 4 are starting... 5 drivers actually are starting to pull just a little bit away there, as you can see from the driver of Tom. And so that's happened here at the moment. Pete and Miles are switching positions around tooth and nail.
Outside line for PVG, of course. He's going to be trying to carve his way forward. Already up 3, trying to make it 4 as we tick away into the final 9 minutes of this race. We've barely even gotten the race back underway. That is the beauty of short sprint races, side by side. Ewan Bramer to the left of Dan Hunt going into the hairpin. Beautiful stuff. Well defended from Daniel Hunt, but there could well be an up and under in the wings for Ewan Bramer. He's got his foot down. Is it enough? Not quite into the hairpin here at Siberia. So Hunt able to hold firm in the lead of this race so far, but he's got a lot of pressure stacking up behind him. He's got Bramer all the way down to Dima, ready to attack.
Now it's the psychological games that the drivers are going to be playing. He said that they're in chat too, so I wonder if there's going to be some nice friendly chat there. Further at the back, you've also got Hefford in the 72 machine on the back there of the Irish driver of Ralph. That's right, this is a UK SimRacers league, but we do have an Irish driver, we do have 2 Dutch drivers out there. Everybody else, I like to say UK, that's Wales and Scotland. And of course, England. Oh, that's a front fender missing completely there on Steve.
It is. That is going to be a very well called MX5, but also a very draggy one as well. So, unfortunately, what's happened to Steve Hefford? Maybe some contact off the start or something, or rather for the Momo driver, who of course took a sabbatical for the best part of the majority of last season. He's come back and he has been on top form. Dan Hunt fighting away with Ewan Bramer, who this time takes to the inside. It's deja vu. This time it's a different SOB driver trying to take the reins, but it's not quite worked. Well, it has worked. Is Dan Hunt going to launch a move all the way to the inside? Bramer tries to cover him off and try and learn from the mistakes of Miles Owens, but Dan Hunt squeezes his way through in fantastic fashion. Side by side as well in the background as PVG and Tom Griffiths fight side by side for 5th. I think PVG was initially going for a move on Owens. In fact, it's blown up in his face, and now Tom Griffiths is going to be the beneficiary as they run their way through the kink in towards the hairpin. Tom Griffiths picks his way into 4th, side by side once more for the leaders. Here comes Ewan Bramer to the left-hand side.
Yep, there we go. They're all switching it all around positions too for now here. You can switch it around as much as you want, but you've got to be doing it really with the remainder of the race left, which is 6 minutes and change. If you don't let them go too far up, feels like I'm watching oval racing, really, the amount of lead changes that are occurring at the moment. Midfield action, look at that. Now you have the top 9 all separated within a second until you go down to Mr. Wright, who's doing a fantastic job there for Darrell, because he's leading in his class, and that's all he needs to be doing at this point.
That's true. He's, to be fair, the rule driving pretty decent races considering how difficult Phillip Island is in its own right, and the trust that these guys are putting into each other to run nose to tail 9 cars deep going into the hairpin at Lukey Heights is mightily impressive, and there's still 6 minutes of racing action left to go. Hunt, Bramer, Sylvester, Griffiths, Van Gool, the top 5. Have to say though, is there going to be at some point where Dan Hunt, where the pressure gets to him, or maybe even Bramer, where the desperation gets too much? Could we see some almighty sense from everyone involved?
Well, what do you think out there in the chat there? Ria and Phil and everybody else that's tuning in to listening. And here we go, the opportunities again. Switched around. Is John going to send up the inside now? Is Daniel going to sit back and do something about it? Of course, they're not going to be yielding. There's a bit of a twirly-willy out of the rear end of Daniel's car, trying to get the power down, trying to get the traction. The rear of the car is disagreeing. You can see the sun starting to pierce out through the clouds as well, too. So the temperature might be increasing just a tad in the weather, which we'll check right now, as you can see there on your screen. It's a 23 track temperature. At this point, with 5 minutes to go, do you think that Bremer's going to be able to hold off, because he's just watching a mirrors full of the other drivers battling it out for P2, P3, and so on?
Pressure is on. Dan Hunt, unfortunately, not having the best couple of corners inside line as they run their way through the hairpin. That's the better line to be on. John Sylvester tries to keep his foot in, but unfortunately he's going to have to fall victim to Dan Hunt. Or is he actually? In fairness, he's kept himself a decent way alongside. Battles away with the reigning champion, or at least a champion of this year so far. Dan Hunt winning all the way back in spring. And now he's fighting for second place, would like a win, but Ewan Bramer is fighting tooth and nail and trying to pull a gap. Sylvester doing his teammate a world of favours into the braking zone. No changes from second downwards apart from a couple of sends. Huge move there from Steve Pfefford, who tries to pick his way through and fight as Ralph Cullinan gets his way into the mix. PVG on the inside of Miles Owens as well. Fantastic battling, it must be said. 4.5 minutes left to go, only a handful of laps. Lee Deemer now has the inside line going into the final corner relative to Steve Pfefford. The move gets sent. Is it going to work from Steve Pfefford all the way around the outside?
They try to commit it up the road there. You do have another challenge there at the moment between John and Daniel. Here we go, side by side. John's knowing that this is down to a couple more laps to go in our first heat. And there's going to be commitment into the corner. Couldn't quite get it. You're going to be on the other side there. It's going to be pushing through it. Look out for Tom in the background there. He's off and the grass is going to come back on. And there's a little push and shove. And that's going to be very, very questionable, you would have to say, at the end of the day, when the driver's coming back on. He's just going to say, look, I'm trying to get back onto the track. And unfortunately, that's the only way I can do it. There was a car in my way. All right, get out of my way. I'm trying to return.
That is true. Too wide, too deep as they fight. This is, of course, for second place. PVG making some insane progress. Tom Griffiths trying to do the same thing, but Dan Hunt dropping like a stone in water. Van Gaal the outside. Griffiths picks his way through on the inside. It's side by side still as they run their way into the next left. Dan Hunt side by side with Lee Deemer as well in the background in that fight for 7th. Beautifully done from all involved. Long way round for Dan Hunt, who's now got Steve Pfefford for troubles. He's not got very long. It was such a long-lived control and such a long-lived reign for Hunt, but unfortunately all good things must come to an end at some point, and unfortunately for Dan Hunt that good thing came to an end far too quickly in this race for his liking. And around the outside going into Lukey Heights, that was brave, and he's been able to stay ahead for now. I have to say though, Hunt's got a lot of work if he still wants to win this.
Yeah, that is a lot. He had the pace, but considering how evenly close to that match they were, as you said, you're talking thousands, well, hundred thousands, well, we're talking nanometers, aren't we, between the drivers at the end of the day, and that's just a lot. It's just too much for him to be able to pull it in. He needs a big pile up at the front there, really, to squeeze on by, but look at Brammer, my friend. He's now got so much more of a breathing distance, and that, I mean, it's under a second, but that's a lot. That's a lot, this level of competition, how close the drivers are. So he'd be happy at the moment, smile on his face, because a couple more laps to go, bingo. He'll take a race 1 victory, but the rest of the field are the ones that are going to be all debating and all negotiating what they want to do. Are they going to lay their cards down on the table just yet? Or are they going to wait for another lap?
Let's see who's going to be the one to blink first. Who's going to be the one to make those do or die sends. Dan Hunt pushing in the background. You can see nipping his car out. We are on the penultimate lap of this race. It's this one and one more. PVG all over the rear end of Tom Griffiths. Could we see a send? No, is the answer to that one. He stays behind, picks his braking point. There's the inside line for Dan Hunt, though, not waiting around at all to start a resurgence back to the top. Ralph Cullinan was first on the victim list for this lap. Let's see if he can make any more progress forward in the final lap and a half.
Well, I mean, it's going to be interesting. I don't quite know if he can. John Sylvester's going to be looking at doing something here on Pete. He sends the dummy up on the inside there. Pete's already shut the door and said, no, my friend, he got no way of getting through here. Still, once again, squabbling around. Got Tom just hanging in there in the blue machine in P2. Again, Brammer's got this one in the bag as long as he does not make any mistakes. Ooh, that's a little bit coming out of the corner there, wasn't it, there from Pete? As that bridge just covered the camera. We're going to get that bridge removed by the next time we come back here. So I shall send somebody down there to take it out. It's in the way of the camera. Damn bridge.
Very true. Final lap of this race. It's all come down to this. You can see PVG under pressure from John Sylvester. They run their way towards turn number 1. Are they going to go for it? You can see Miles Owens also trying to push his teammate through on the inside, but could that work in the benefit of PVG, who sails his way the long way round of turn number 1, gives him the inside by the time they get to 2. It's the long way round, of course, that Sylvester is going to have to try and keep his foot in for. It's not worked for him. He's tried to get the up and under, but unfortunately had to think twice about that one. An insane run, as you can see there from PVG. Could well see him up in a second, but look at John Sylvester in the slipstream. His straight line speed is absolutely incredible. Dan Hunt in 6th place. Is he going to be able to make any chance for a podium in the final lap of this race? Inside line as PVG and Sylvester fight side by side for 4th place. Not quite close enough as there in the background, Ralph Cullinan having an issue in Dan Hunt's round.
Yeah, it's Daniel again, isn't it? I think he's just pushing it too much to try to remake those positions back up then and just send a prayer here. And unfortunately, he sent a prayer to the wrong god, perhaps. Bang, there it is, straight into the side there. A little late, and maybe a little bit of a frustration drive trying to regain those positions that he's lost. But you got to remember, I'm sure he's well aware of it, Zach, there are more races to come. You can't win them all.
You can't, that is true. And he, of course, naturally every racing driver would. That is very difficult. And yeah, chances are it's probably not going to happen. So Dan Hunt is going to have to bounce back, of course. We'll update you as soon as we know what the reverse grid for race 2 and then subsequently what the reverse grid for race 4 will be. Of course, race 3 is a random reverse grid after the break. But through the final corner for the final time in race number 1, and it's Ewan Bramer that is going to top the timing tower, come across the line to take yet another victory this season. Down under for Ewan Bramer. Trick or treat. Bramer definitely has got the treat side of things in race number 1. Van Gaal and Griffiths side by side. Only 1/1000th of a second separating them at the line. John Sylvester only half a tenth back along that one as well. A tough race for all, but Darrell Wright, the AM winner in the fight, of course, for amateur supremacy. And Darrell Wright comes out on top by quite some fair margin. P10 when Roger Morton was 15th in race number 1. Decent way to start the evening, it must be said. And, well, that's one way to end it off.
Yeah, a little bit of shoving there at the moment at the end because our checker flag's already out anyway. I think you're supposed to bring those cars back to pit road, guys, rather than just pulling it off unless you run out of fuel. We'll have to check about that. We are in a racing simulation, so let's behave like a racing simulation. You bring it back to the pit road. Otherwise, you are disqualified from the next race. Wish we can actually do that, but I don't create the rules. I just push the buttons up here and speak on the microphone with the lovely and amazing Zachary as your commentator.
Well, thank you very much. I have to say, the kind words are very nice and very kind as well, funnily enough. Do appreciate it. I'm always flattered when Biggles is in the commentary booth. Not so much when Phil and Rhea in the YouTube chat though. They definitely do bring me down a peg or two. But it's whatever. It's fine. I'll be the diamond in the rough against those two. But anyway, yeah, of course, we'll pick you through the final finishing results of race number 1 as soon as we can. Talk you through, of course, how they racked up after 15 minutes of racing action. Can tell you for free, it was Ewan Bramer that took victory ahead, of course, of teammate or not. Team's rivals of PVG in second. Then comes Tom Griffiths rounding off the podium. John Sylvester P4 with Miles Owens rounding off a 3-car top 5 for SOB. Ralph Cullinan, a great result for the 32 machine in 6th. Then comes Lee Deemer, Steve Pfeffert and Dan Hunt, the top of those in the pros. Darrell Wright is the first AM to breach his way inside the top 10 in this evening of racing. He takes the win of the amateurs. Dan McLean just behind. Pete Newman, not the race that he would have wanted after issues on lap 1, and I believe issues on the final lap as well. Jamie Ayres, Charles Kellerman, Roger Morton, the top 15, before we get beyond that to the final 5 drivers. Fiona Siddon, Sir Alan Toon, 16th and 17th, and I'm going to assume the rest, unfortunately, DNFs out of race number 1. It's in the books, of course. Race 2 coming up in just a second. Biggles, what do we expect when we've got the reverse grid carnage here at Phillip Island?
Well, I think that the second word in that sentence, carnage, may very well entail the story of the chapter of our race 2. As the grid should be coming up in a second that I can show you, because they're just in a little bit of a warm-up process. I don't think that grid is going to show up just yet there, Zachary, as it's waiting for this warm-up, just for the drivers can get up there for a second and have a comfort relief break, stretch their legs, get ready back and seeing into their racing rigs, depending on some racing rigs, of course, are very comfortable. Some racing rigs just might be a chair. Some even get a little fold-up chair if you need to, whatever works for you, whatever does the job, whatever floats your boat. Here in Phillip Island, as you can see.
Water.
Yeah, you see that? That's, yeah, you get these kind of lovely, beautiful sunny days. You don't have them in the UK very often, so you probably can't even see the water.
Oh, don't even. It has been freezing in the UK recently. I get up for work. My work day starts at 8 o'clock. So I'm up at 20 past 6, which for some might be a nice lay-in, but for me it is the crack of dawn. I get up, I get outside, I'm freezing, I run to my car, and because it's a diesel, it takes quite a long time to warm up. So I'm there with the blowers. Of course, those that are familiar with how the heating system in a car works, it basically just takes heat off the engine. So when my engine is quite cold, the fans are also fairly cold as well. So it takes a long time for it to warm up. Also, then I've got to defog the window so I can actually see out of my car, because it is old. She's 2002, so she's older than me by 4 years. So she does take a little bit of time, and it has just been so undeniably cold here in the UK. But thankfully we are here down under, and of course we are going to be taking back our road trip to Europe. We're going to be to the Hungaroring in a week's time. That's going to be an interesting one. Before then, a trip across the Atlantic to Road Atlanta on the 14th of November, before Zandvoort and Monza round off our 12-week calendar here for Season 4 of 2023. Of course, the final full season we're going to get out of this year. And it has been a wild ride all the way back in March, I believe. I joined the commentary team for the UkSimracers, so it's been a pleasure since. But let's get through this season first. Let's crown our champion, and of course also the overall champion of this year, because all of our championships have basically been added together to determine who the overall points of all 3 championships that we've had since the start of this year have. since of course that time back in March. So of course, to keep you updated with how those standings are going, the combined, it's Tom Griffiths ahead of John Sylvester and Jamie Ayres, only separated by 78 points apiece. So when there are 4,200 points on offer, Beagles, well, Tom Griffiths overall 4,200 points that he's been given. The fact that the top three are only separated by 78 after, you know, a good 8 months of racing is pretty significant. Oh,
that's a fantastic. I was going to say, you're going to make me do math there, Zach? No. But, yeah. I mean, that's a lot of points, and exactly considering how close they're going to be. But we've seen how close this racing is between the drivers, separated by almost nothing. So, once again, as you said, this is also the crunch time. Any other tracks that you're looking forward to for the rest of the season? Of course, Hungary, they say it's Monaco without the barriers. I don't see the reference too much to that, but Hungaroring. Where else did you say that I'll be attending for the final races?
So far this season, we started the season off at the Twin Wing Motegi. We went to Alton Park, the Red Bull Ring, Willow Springs, Bathurst and Hockenheim. That was the first half of the season done and dusted. We were at Road America last week, before now Phillip Island today. In a week's time, we'll go to the Hungaroring, Road Atlanta, Zandvoort and Monza. So the rest of the season entails Hungaroring, Road Atlanta, Zandvoort and Monza for the final few weeks of this calendar. I have to say, I'm looking forward to all of them. The Hungaroring is a circuit I've commentated on iRacing once.
Oh.
Twice? Once, I think. I love the circuit. Very fun to hook up. Road Atlanta, also fun. Ups, downs, lefts, rights, twists, turns, this, that, and everywhere. As well, let's round off Phillip Island first. Darrell Wright takes pole position for race 2 ahead of Daniel Hunt. Steve Pfefford, Lee Deemer 3 and 4 ahead of Rav Cullinan and Miles Owens on row 3. Then comes John Sylvester and Tom Griffiths in P7 and 8 as PVG and Ewan Bramer keep each other company on row 10. That is, of course, the cutoff of the reverse grid. The rest are those that finished in their positions for over the course of race 1. So McLean from Newman, then Ayres, Kellerman and Morton, the top 15. Ahead of Fiona Siddons, Sir Alan Toon, Colin Sanson, Andy Littler and Mick Barry, the top 20. We're back underway here in Phillip Island and a good start from the front row. Let's see what Dan Hunt can do. Get your predictions in. I'm going for Mr. Tom Griffiths in race number 2, but Dan Hunt getting a beautiful lead going into turn number 1. He's side by side with Darrell Wright, who's going to try and keep his nose in, but the long way around for Daniel Hunt might prove to be successful. Steve Pfefford follows him through, sails his way around the outside. What a beautiful start this is from these two. Darrell Wright not really too interested in getting involved. He knows that his fight is with the AMs.
Yep, you're exactly right. We probably expected to be overtaken by a lot of these pro drivers. And Daniel, of course, needs to bounce back on this one. He knows he can get that gap up the road there and keep in the head of this race, that he can snatch up this Heat 2 for the feature race. But then again, he's got a big challenge at the moment from Steve. Stevie wants to take this one away from him and not let him get too far up the road.
Definitely is not. As you can see side by side there, that is Griffiths and Darrell Wright still fighting away. So Darrell Wright dropping in this race so far, but still a huge gap to the rest of the AM contingent of Sanson, all the way in 15th place. So as it stands, still good points on offer for Darrell Wright. Side by side, as you can see there, Ewan Bramer, our race 1 winner, trying to fight his way through. As he found a way past, not quite yet. Ewan Bramer side by side there with his teammate as they run their way towards Lukey Heights. Pete Newman into the mix, follows him through, gets 2 cars in 1 thanks to that inside line. There you can see the Momo machine trying to also fight his way through. That's Jamie Ayres on the outside now into the hairpin. A huge lunge in the background. It's all settled down now, thankfully. Jamie Ayres, though, up to into the top 10. Really slow start to this evening for the Welshman, but slowly but surely picking his way forwards.
His Pete Newman is as well too. He's looking to make himself up a position 4 gained there. Actually just dropped a place to Jamie side by side with them. So Jamie's actually going to gain the 4. Pete's going to drop the 2. Still early days with 13 minutes to go left of this race. As a switcheroo at the top 2 as well too. Lee's now snuck his way up at a P2.
Nicely done. Lee Deemer fighting his way forward, of course. Very aggressive driver. Cullinan is Steve Pfefford, I should say, is very wide. Rejoins and right into the path of Miles Owens, who has to skirt his way past on the outside of turn number 2. Tom Griffiths as well in the background. Steve Pfefford holds firm. I can definitely see some changes to the Momo livery, potentially some Halloween festivities going on there with the black stripes along the side of the car. Maybe it's just a new livery that they're going with for the rest of the season. Deemer, though, down to 3rd as Cullinan sends the move. Nicely done. The Orion Race Team driver is sent wide and there's contact. Miles Owens, well, he gets a fright on the exit and on the apex of that hairpin.
Yep, just like that goes around It's going to be elbow-to-elbow racing. You would expect that. It's the only way to barge your way to overtake. It's very, very difficult, as you see there. And drivers are not going to allow much space. So, got to do a bit of argy-bargy. Get the place. Hopefully not too much argy-bargy, as you see, because otherwise the cars end up facing in the wrong direction. And there's a bit of work to catch up here. Still, Daniel leading the race there. Ralph in P2 currently at the moment. And then he's got a big gap, actually, Daniel has. So he's got a big breathing space. And then this is the rest of the packs that you can see in the live timing table, all within a second of each other.
They are indeed. Everyone nice and close, which is exactly the way that we like it. But Daniel Hunt not waiting around at all. He's been given this opportunity for redemption after the mishaps of race 1, the mistakes he made right at the end of the race. And, well, now he's trying to make amends for it and atone for what he, unfortunately, became victim to over the course of the first race. Steve Pfefford in a contention for the podium place. Lee Demon doesn't really put up too much of a fight, but you can see Steve Pfefford trying to keep that gap as minimal as possible, trying to open up turn number 1 as much as he can. Inside line into 3rd place. Nicely done. And now he's got to work his way forward. That is wide. Whoa! Jamie Ayres doing a little bit of lawn mowing on the exit.
Expensive lawn mowing, but yes. It is all going a little pearl-shaped at the moment, these drivers. They're going to have to almost go to blimp camera to catch out all the action that's happening. So they're not waiting around to get overtakes done. Keeping it nice and spicy and dicey, as you said, because we're getting out of the business end of the championship, and everybody wants to maximize as many points as possible, but they're also taking some big risks here.
Well, risk, reward, you got to weigh it up in your head. You got to think, how much is every position worth it? How much are you willing to ride your championship on every overtake that you make? Here you can see Miles Owens having to fight his way back through the pack after a very poor opening 5 minutes of this race. Closely followed by Darren McLean, Colin Sansom just ahead of him, Lee Deemer as well, a driver that has had a similar fate to Miles Owens. And, well, we've still got 2/3 of this race left to go, 10 minutes onto the clock of race number 2 before we head off for the break, before then coming back for race 3 and 4. The carnage, the action, the excitement that has been on display here for race 2 so far has been nothing short of spectacular. But in such a hectic environment like this, Biggles, in you know, such a densely compacted field, you have to be so aware, and consistency is most certainly key.
Yes, consistency is always key, gentlemen, in championships. And look at that, you've got a lot of trust when you're driving at this distance. Like, you're bump drafting each car essentially, and you got to rely now in your braking point, as Steve has to rely. A little weave in the background there from Tom, I think, just to remind him that he's in the mirrors. And look at that, Steve's so close at the moment on the back there of Ralph. He's like, I might move out of the way there, Ralphie. Ralphie doesn't have to move out of the way. Try to block him off as much as possible. Nothing like a good old rivalry between England and Ireland on track. And here we go. Oh, we're on board to Steve. So he's going to tuck up there behind, and he's going to be thinking about sending the inside. He is going to send up the inside there, Zach. So enough hanging around, he says. Come on, guys. We don't want to get Daniel Hunt up the road. He's 1.6 seconds, so start catching him soon. Otherwise, he's gone.
Well, I mean, I'd argue that he might already be gone in this race, side by side as well. Tom Griffiths, Ewan Bramer, who is trying to fight his way to the outside, but not quite close enough on this particular occasion. The race 1 winner, again, as we spoke about consistency, Ewan Bramer has been the beacon of continuity so far this evening. The win in race 1, so far 5th place, maybe more, maybe less, over the course of the final 8 minutes, 21 seconds of race number 2. The continuity is very much going to be the deciding factor when it comes to the championship. Side by side as Ralph Cullinan is onto the podium, but Tom Griffiths fights him through Lukey Heights. Side by side, they send it 3 wide. Griffiths now is the outside. They settle their way into 2 rows of 2. There you can see Jamie Ayres, who's just going to try and pick his way to the inside, threads the needle. Ralph Cullinan gives him the space, and the Welshman fantastically fought to work his way into 4th.
Yeah, it's dropped. Well, Ralph doing Ralphie things. Oh, he's dropped back, remember, at this point.
Well, that is Ralphie things, I suppose.
Yeah. Oh, be picking on these drivers. And here he is. So the Dutch drivers are at the Dutch duel at the moment between Pete and Ivan. They've got 3 positions gained, of course, in the reverse grid, and they're currently battling at the moment for P6. And Pete's also part of that party. Is it the Pete party? Ralph's dropped another. He's in between here, of course, Jamie up the road. Phil says they're not getting the info from the commentary box to help the picker drivers. The telemetry is working, but I believe at the moment, though. Should be Phil if you're looking at the live telemetry that we have provided just in the description.
Yeah. Unfortunately, of course, James always has the information regarding the reverse grids. That's information we don't quite have access to today. PVG side by side with Raf Cullen. So we are sorry to disappoint. I mean, it's not the first time that we've done that. So, you know, there we go. Yeah, it is what it is. You know, I don't know what the reverse grid is either. So we're always taking a stab in the dark. But yeah, we do apologise that the Predictions Cup has taken a bit of a step back. Side by side, though, Pete Newman fighting with Cullinan, who's had a roller coaster of emotions. Pete Newman has had a roller coaster of an evening as well. You can see definitely battle scarred the front end of that Pure Sims livery as they fight downhill into the braking zone, but no changes between these guys. In fact, there's contact. Newman is sent round as well as PVG. They've collected each other, and Pete Newman, oh goodness me.
Just like that in one corner, you're in the wrong direction. And a little frustration. I'm sure there's a few of those words in the driver's cockpit right now. But more races to come once again. I always look at the glasses being half full, not half empty. These drivers at the moment, 3 abreast, may be looking at a medical center if you don't get it all right, guys.
That's true. Rear, of course. Oh my goodness me, 3 wide.
That's
these
what
guys.
I was gonna say, at the
I
moment.
mean, they're keeping us on their toes. I'll give them that. I mean, they definitely are trying to give us a bit of a fright here today on Halloween. And fair play to them, because it's entertaining racing at the end of the day. Tom Griffiths fighting away. There's Jamie Ayres on his left-hand side, keeping him honest. I have to say his Momo livery is the best of the bunch. Side by side, they run their way towards the hairpin. It's Griffiths in the blue on the right. The left-hand side of your screen, of course, is the inside for the hairpin. Ayres keeps his foot in. Is he going to plant the throttle? Is he going to plant the seeds? Maybe for a podium. Inside line as they run their way towards Siberia. And of course, there we go, the 46 machine up ahead. Ria, you're as mad as one can be about fake predictions on fake cars. It's not a big deal. That is true. Yeah, these are pretend race cars, but it's real racing. You know, at the end of the day, it's
pretend race cars, Ria. Have you seen some of the racing rigs that these drivers have? They cost more than a real race car. They probably cost more than Zach's car, that's for sure.
My car was 900 quid.
There you go.
It's the insurance that gets
a steering wheel alone would cost you about that for some of these racing rigs.
It's the insurance that gets me. £250 a month I spend on my insurance, and that's with the black box. That is extortionate. It's because I'm 17.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a boy, and I have a 1.9 turbo as my first car, which is probably not the best idea.
Can't you put it under your parents' insurance?
I do, yeah. That's with my dad's name on the insurance.
Okay.
That's Tom Griffiths. He's going to be hoping he doesn't need to make any insurance claims this evening. He's not quite being the victim of any skirmishes. He's going to be hoping that has its continuity for the rest of the evening. 3 wide as the 2 Momo cars of Hefford and Ayres fight it over second. And there we go, Griffiths now on the outside. Is he going to try and hang it round? No, he's not. He tucks in behind these 2 and stays at bay. But there you can see Hefford immediately on the counter-attack of Jamie Ayres, but doesn't quite pick his way past. He gets given the space by his Welsh teammate, who keeps his foot in nicely. They emerge side by side as well. It's, of course, red and black versus red and yellow. And Steve Hefford, unfortunately, well, actually, to be fair, he's actually now been able to pick his way ahead thanks to that inside run. Tom Griffiths, what stance is he going to take in this particular fight for second? Inside or outside, or idle? Outside line as Hefford runs into the hairpin. Ayres on the, of course, the right-hand side. The beneficent lines, that's a word now, of course, as they emerge. And Tom Griffiths is now going to be on the outside, but no way through as it stands for the 16.
I'm wondering if this battle's costing them. Look at the exit speed Tom had there. Bang, straight onto the power, onto the gas. Loving this. Take a 2-for-1 special perhaps here, Tom. Now he's going to have to commit to the outside. He's allowing enough space. Look who's lurking in the back area there too. Johns has just joined this very rapidly because this battle's costing them time. And they are dropping a little bit of time as well. Tita Daniels just loving this going on. Probably can't even see them very soon as he's taking around into the final couple of corners of Phillip Island. And now Tom has taken the 2-for-1 special, and now he's got to defend.
He has. Or push. I doubt that's going to be sort of attainable for a lead. But Griffiths all over the rear, well, Ayres all over the rear end of Griffiths, who is going to have to be in insane amounts of defensive capabilities for the final 2 laps of this race. Ez less than a tenth of a second behind him. You can barely see Ez tucked in behind Tom Griffiths. There's Steve Hefford pulling his way out as well. There's John Sylvester gets his way through. They emerge 3 rows of 2 as Cullinan and Bramer fight over 6th place. Outside line for the SOB cars as they try to work their way the long way round. Ralph Cullinan finds his way through. 2-for-1 package deal as if he's in Tesco's. Nicely done.
Yeah, I don't know if you have a Tesco's in Ireland, but he's getting it done. Brilliant, brilliant racing. It's kind of like, who wants that P2? Because you keep losing it at this point when you P2. We've got 3 drivers that do want it, Zach. Flip a coin. Or roll the dice, actually.
Close to me. James doesn't pay me cash in hand, so I wouldn't be able to. Unfortunately, Steve Hefford in 3rd place, still in the fight with Griffiths. We've got a lap and a half left to go, and I have to say, Dan Hunt, he's been on top form today.
Yeah, we saw his qualifying pace, didn't we? Just didn't have the first race that went his way, but certainly the second race is going to go his way. Reverse on a reverse grid too, remember? So he kind of, I guess that really did pay off at the end of the day, isn't it? Having that little mistake there, because it put him on the front row. And of course, it had no real competition from Daryl Wright, of course, who's in the AM class, who's still dominating the AM class. And so I think Daryl Wright got the right idea, didn't he, of just kind of letting all these other drivers through, let them battle so that he doesn't have to be pushed off the track or whatever like that, and continue his great form in his class.
Yeah, that's done. 40 seconds left on the clock. The final lap of this race now begins, as trying to put some pressure on Griffiths, but also having to be mindful of his own teammate in his rearview mirror. We've got a train that spans from 2nd to 7th onto the final lap here in Phillip Island to round off, of course, the first half of this evening. Inside line for some. They all cover it off quite nicely. There's no changes. And Steve Hefford hesitant, and it's caused a Constantina behind as Sylvester then had to check his brake. Cullinan then had to check his brakes. And now on the exit, it's Sylvester with a good run. He might see himself alongside Hefford as they run the way in towards the braking zone for the next hairpin.
I think they have to check something else in their race suit, not just their brakes. They can keep action up like that. And we'll be coming around, of course, about halfway through the final lap of the first half of our racing series here for the UkSimracers. MX5, Season 4. And can Tom hold off? Can he hold these gaggle of cars behind him and take the P2? Because we all know that Daniel's going to be taking that P1 at least 5 seconds ahead of everybody else at this point. Tom's going to have to really, really hold on tight here, as Jamie wants to steal it away.
He does. Second, of course, Jamie, as I said, a slow start to the evening for him, but still plenty of potential if he can just hook up these final few corners. He's all over the rear end of Tom Griffiths, but we're going to have to see Dan Hunt across the line, because it was redemption from race 1. He's picked his way forward in this race to perfection. There he is. Daniel Hunt, already a champion this season, takes the top step of the podium once again here down under in Phillip Island. And then we can see in the background this amazing battle that's going to span to the line. Drag race between Hefford and Sylvester. Who's going to be the one to get it? Ez pulls out late, but it's not enough to top Griffiths to second. Hefford ahead of Sylvester for the top 5. What a race.
Yeah, Jamie just almost got 11 positions gained in that race as well, too. So that's absolutely fantastic driving, you'd have to say, from the Welshman. He's got 10 instead, and he gets the podium. Once Dan got up that road, mate, he was unstoppable. Ralph, of course, was in the wars there, but he ended up losing 1 place overall for the Irishman. If this is the thing to come, isn't it? This is going to be absolutely fantastic when we find out what our grid order will be after our break coming up soon. But first of all, I think we need to get ourselves some results that will be coming in soon. Oh, we forgot to mention, of course, that Mr. Daryl Wright did everything perfect again, didn't he? He managed to deliver it way ahead in his class than the rest of the AM drivers.
Very much so. Daryl Wright, 2-2 so far this evening for AM wins, and was 5 places clear of Colin Sansom, so some huge points gained for Darrell Wright in his pursuit for a decent position in the Amateur Championship. 15 minutes of racing once more in the books, and it's Dan Hunt ahead of Tom Griffiths and Jamie Ayres, the top 3. Steve Fairford, John Sylvester consistent inside the top 5, with Ralph Cullinan a decent race in 6th. Ewan Bramer just behind ahead of Darrell Wright, the AM winner. Charles Kellerman, Miles Owens, the top 10. Lee Deemer, Darren McLean 11th and 12th, with Colin Sampson 2nd place in the AMs ahead of PVG, and Roger Morton rounding off that AM podium in 15th place. Beyond that, we've got Sir Alan Soon and Mick Barry, the 17 cars that were able to make their way across the line, ahead, of course, of Fiona Siddons, Andy Littler, and Pete Newman, who was firmly a DNF from that race after huge contact, huge issues, and huge problems. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have to swap sessions from race 2 into race 3. Random reverse grid ahead of us, and 2 more races of action here in Phillip Island. Myself, Zach Sweeney, Dean Biggles, we're going to step aside for just a moment, but don't go anywhere. Welcome back then, ladies and gentlemen, as there are just 2 races left to go here at Phillip Island. Myself, Zach Sweeney, Dean Biggles alongside me in the commentary booth. We've got race 3 just ahead of us. Colin Sampson will start on row 1 ahead of Andy Littler. Mick Barry, Ewan Bramer, 3 and 4. Then comes Tom Griffiths, Lee Deemer, making it row 3 with Jamie Ayres, Sir Alan Toon, 7th and 8th. PVG and Miles Owens round off the top 10 ahead of the Scotsman Darren McLean and Pete Newman, 11th and 12th. Beyond that, of course, we then go to the likes of Ralph Cullinan, Darrell Wright, row 7. Roger Morton rounds off the top 15 ahead of Charles Kellerman, Dan Hunt, Steve Herford, John Sylvester and Fiona Siddons, the 20-car field that we've got here for row 3. It's been a mega ride so far. We've got 2 more races to come, 30 minutes more of racing action ahead of us, 15 minutes back onto the clock. We eagerly await these drivers to get their engines raring once more. Race 3 here in Phillip Island is underway. Colin Sampson, a little bit of wheel spin from the initial get-go, but Andy Littler already trying to pull alongside as they run their way towards turn number 1. It's an all-lamb top 3. Let's see how well they do over the course of the next 15 minutes. Ewan Bramer immediately pipping Mick Barry off the line as they work their way to the inside of turn number 1. Tom Griffiths trying to get himself into the mix as well. Mick Barry back into the fight, up into P3. Beautifully done from the Interlagos race winner of last year. Side by side, multiple rows deep in the background as they run their way through turn 2. So far, so good in terms of a clean battle.
Yeah, you think I got the wrong end of the stick on the reverse grid. Well, the random grid, of course, too, because you got Daniel and John all the way down in P17 and P18, and Steve Hertfield as well, too. So they got a lot of work to do, but all at this point is getting where you need to be at the top end of the timesheets, and that's going to work out hopefully here for the SOB racing driver of Bremer, as well as Tom Griffiths there. Jamie Ayres, of course, going to be in the wars there with PVG, as you'd mentioned there as the driver. So let's see, it's going to pan out here, Mr. Zach. Yeah,
indeed so. Still plenty of racing left to go. And still plenty of overtakes, I'm sure, to come. Tom Griffiths immediately up to the top 2. I have to say, his race starts are phenomenal, especially in these random reverse grid races. He knows how to pick his way through a field effectively. Side by side, you can see in the background that was Heifer trying to pick his way past, I believe, Roger Morton towards the back end of the field. A big send there from Jamie S to the inside of Andy Littler. Has he managed to get that one stuck? I think he has. He still has to give space, though, to Littler, who's worked his way on the inside. The work guard by result car, of course, now fighting away. He's put Jamie S into the clutches of Ewan Bramer, who now picks his way through himself. Nicely done from the Flying Dutchman into 4th place. We round off lap number 1, and it's Sansom that leads from Griffiths. We
also have a driver of Just a Dreamer that's gone into pit road very early. Very interesting. But the challenge for the lead right now. Tom's going to try to take it away here from Colin, and I'd imagine he could because of the class difference. And this is very important, of course, for Sansom to use the advantage of the fact that he got the lucky draw there and got a front row start, because that'll actually help him out and try to do anything about Darryl Wright, who's got the wrong end of the reverse of the random grid because he's in P16.
Oh, that's wide. That's a snap. And that was Miles Owens, I think, just behind PVG, who's fighting away with Andy Littler. Both Momo cars have had a stab in the last time span of a lap. Dan Hunt as well, working his way forward nicely. Inside line on the Irishman of Cullinan, who waves the champion through. Nicely done. 3 wide, as well as Newman is getting himself in the mix ahead of Andy Littler as well. These pros are ruthless ahead of the AMs. They can't waste any time finding their way past.
No, they can't at the moment, and they're just going through it. Look at this. So Hunt's got to catch Littler just up the road there, next on his list. So to make him 8 positions gain, definitely Mr. Hunt is on the hunt for getting his way back up into the top 3, making sure he's not going to give him enough time to get up the road. And there is Colin. Oh, spun around completely there. Oh, big.
That's huge.
That's a huge accident in the back there. Who else is involved in that one? So you got Colin. And I'd have to say there's contact with somebody, isn't it? Trying to perhaps get past Colin. Let's have a look at the replay. Kellerman. Oh
no, that's PVG on his inside.
Oh no, he's just lost on his own, and I think somebody else has hit him here.
He's collected Kellerman there. Bosh. There it is. Well, easily done. Yeah. Blind crest.
He didn't do anything wrong. He stopped the car when he had to spin. Didn't try to bring it back onto the track there at an unsafe release. It's just unfortunate. Of course, there's nowhere else for those other cars to go, because most of them did avoid it. At the battle up right here, as Littler's going to be dropping a little bit more down. The last one that they have to kind of navigate past, isn't it? Because Daniel's got past him now. Ralph is trying to get Wakey's bait past.
Let's see what Cullinan can do going forwards. The work guard by result car, of course, of Andy Littler fighting really nicely. A fight for the lead brewing as Griffiths and Bramer battle it away. I do have to apologise, by the way, because of my lack of predictions. We immediately came off break into race 3, so I didn't really have much of a chance to think about it coming into this race, but it doesn't matter anyway, because we're too far into this race for me to actually make a substantial pick. I do apologise, Rhea. That's just made your life a little bit more difficult. Can't even remember who I picked from last week, but probably, hopefully, it's going to be Ewan Bramer or Tom Griffiths at this point. Miles Owens. Actually, no, I can't even pick Griffiths because I picked him in race 2, didn't I? Yeah, that was a good choice. In fact, to be fair, he finished 2nd, so not bad in the end. Miles Owens, all over the rear end of Van Gaal, who's all over the rear end of Newman, who's all over the rear end of Ayres, who's all over the rear end of Griffiths, who's all over the rear end of Bramer. It is a train forming, spanning the entirety of the top 7. Still over half of this race left to go. And let's see what's going to be going on in race 3 again. These drivers have had enough time to prepare. They've obviously had their practice times. They've had the first 2 races. Race 3 and 4 are really where they get to unleash their talent.
Oh, dress rehearsals are over. It's time for the main show. And are they going to go risking it for the biscuit? The 3 wide, no. Tom now takes the lead there. Jamie into P2. Mr. Bremer into P3. Pete's catching the back of them. Daniel down in P7, getting 10 spots. Soon to be making that 11. He just got past Tom. I wouldn't be surprised if Daniel doesn't steal the win here. 8 minutes to go. That's a lot, but if anybody can do it, he can. Especially when these are battling. These guys are battling at the moment, bringing everybody else into play.
Outside line, Ewan Bramer trying to spark a move again in counter-attack for the lead. Jamie Ayres keeps his foot and holds firm. Pete Newman follows him through on the outside. Has the Pure Sims driver got the legs? He hasn't. I have to say, I'm quite disappointed because Pure Sims had a Halloween livery yesterday for the Clios, and there's none for the MX5s on actual Halloween. What's up with this?
Well,
However,
we should have given away an extra point for the best Halloween livery as voted by the public out there in the chat. There you go. Don't be creative there, guys. An extra point. 2.
yeah, I know. Next year, maybe Christmas. Who knows? I just have to say, I'm very disappointed. PVG, by the way, Pete Van Gool. I suppose that kind of fits the Halloween theme. If you just spelt his name a little bit differently, he's trying to phase his way forwards, and well, maybe he is going to be like a ghost haunting Ewan Bramer in their fight for the podium.
Don't get Zachary fired up here with the puns. That's usually my job, but you're doing okay there, Zach. We're getting you trained up there now. I do apologise as well, too, for the graphic being incorrect during the intermission, because James usually does all this. But we're giving him the night off so he can take his kids out for the trick-or-treat here at Halloween. And as these drivers at the moment are going to be trying to trick each other into a overtake move or defending the drivers, as you can see, the top 5, 6 on your screens right now.
Indeed so. 3 rows of 2 Noah's Ark formation in this fight for second, then fight for lead. In fact, actually Newman was involved side by side, Ewan Bramer and Miles Owens. Again, the SOB cars are not impartial to a little bit of a battle between each other. You've got Newman versus Ez. PVG just behind, raring for his opportunity to take the lead. Side by side is Newman on the left, Ayres on the right, inside line for the hairpin. It's the prime overtaking opportunity. PVG sees one for himself. He's going to seize this moment. The right-hand side for the Momo machine. It's the outside for Siberia. He's managed to send the car in deep. He's managed to keep that car alongside by the time they reach the apex, but it's too wide on the exit. Gets a boatload of gravel and finds himself now to the outside of the top 5.
Yeah, ouch, just like that. And Daniel's going to go past him, so don't count out Daniel, as I mentioned. Still a possibility of getting a race win here. 6 minutes change to go. Anything can happen, considering you just saw some of the drivers go off track there and scrub a little bit of speed and get it all over again. But there is the Welshman leading it up on the inside there. Pete just thought about it there for a second, backed off, knowing that, hey, once again, those dress rehearsals are over there, gentlemen. So all those mistakes that you made, they are done during rehearsals, because this is the main show. You've got a whole stadium sold out full of everybody to watch you race around this track, of course, and virtually on the track. But we do have like a lovely amount of 18 people watching this at the moment, so get your predictions out there. 5 minutes, just under 6 minutes to go, Zach. And they're going to try this 3 again, aren't they? You know that for a fact they're going to do it.
Oh, well, they're racing drivers. They don't back down from an opportunity. Pete Newman settles in behind Ewan Bramer, but he might be able to get the up and under side by side. Dan Hunt in the mix, Miles Owens on the outside as they run their way in towards turn number 2. That's always going to be difficult, but Hunt's kept it nicely, kept his foot planted and given the space to Owens. Don't know what that's about. It's the windscreen wipers. Yeah. Fine, I suppose. There's maybe, yeah, or something. Newman, Bramer, side by side, half a tenth separating them in that run towards the next braking zone. Sails his way around the outside, the Pure Sims driver. He's doing a hell of a job at keeping that lead.
Yes, he is, but how long can he keep it? That will be the question. Well, Jamie's now obviously dropped back a little bit, but there it is. So Pete's going to go on the outside. I still like how that Daniel's just lurking in the background now, too, remember. We know he's got the pace. He's won the previous race. He did put the car on pole. Both him and Pete have had fantastic comebacks through the field here with that grid, because Pete's gained 10 positions, 13 for Daniel. No, I think that's right on board with Daniel at the moment, isn't it, my friend? And see how it is from his perspective, because he could see 1, 2, 3 cars. That's all he has to do. Just overtake those 3 cars, and you got yourself a back-to-back race win.
Let's see if anyone can do it. Probably Dan Hunt. To be fair, any of these guys can do it. I don't know what I was trying to get at with that one. All of these cars could do a back-to-back win if they were given the opportunity. 4 minutes left to go. Dan Hunt uses the curb to unsettle the car, but it's actually worked as the rotation has now given him a run onto this back straight. A little bit wide from Jamie Ayres. He's lost a little bit of momentum as they settle their way. 2 wide, 2 deep, maybe even 3 wide for a moment. Miles Owens tries to thread the needle into turn number 1. This is not going to end well. They fly in formation as a 5. Inside line, Dan Hunt outside. Close to contact, but they managed to make it through cleanly somehow.
Oh, somehow, exactly. I didn't think that was going to be possible. 4 wide in Phillip Island, gentlemen. They really are going to put the spook into us in Halloween. There you go, Zach. I'm starting to warm up. 3 minutes to go. Just under. There's a little bit back at the moment there happening here. So we got 2 little mid-packs going for it, 2 for now. We'll have to switch that back there because that's Dal Wright, of course. Now he's 3rd, literally. But once again, he didn't get the best positions during the random grid. So he has to do a lot of work. But we'll get back to that in a little bit later on because we still want to see how it's all pulling up here at the moment there because Miles Owen's now in the lead of this one. But does anybody want to be in the lead? Because it changes all the time, as we saw in the previous race with the driver in P2. They're just squabbling for it. Doesn't really matter when you get it until you get it for the last lap.
That is true. You'd only have to lead about, 1 second of the race. As long as it's the 1 second that finishes the race, that's all that matters. Doesn't matter what happens for the other 14 minutes and 59 seconds. As long as you lead that run to the line, then you'll be the one to take the victory, and you'll be the one that deserves to take the victory. Pete Newman, Ayres, Owens, Bramer, Van Gool, Hunt. The final 2 laps of this race already. Race 3 flying by in a flash. Ayres all over the rear end of Newman's. Are we going to see Miles Owens take it 3 wide once again? It's deja vu, lap after lap after lap. 2 to go here in Phillip Island. Outside line for Ayres. It's the middle for Owens. Newman backs out, thinks the wiser of it, but he's going to send the move in the end for second place as Ayres tries to catapult himself the long way around. Beautifully done as we're getting a beautiful picture of it. 3 wide as there's contact and PVG is sent off.
There gets Pete around. That's going to be very unfortunate. We knew this was going to build in, and Ralph as well too, I think, has come together with him. So here it is. It's switching up at the moment. So Pete now in P3. Bramer in P2. Jamie still he's got a little bit more of a breathing space now, you'd have to say. With what are we looking at? We're in the penultimate lap. Almost. It probably will be a minute and change to go. We're just starting halfway through. Daniel's still hanging in there at the moment. But I don't think now at this point, he might not be able to seize an opportunity for a race win. Podium at best should be what I'd be looking at. Let's have a look at that. What happened? That was Pete going off the track here, right? And it's before, isn't it? At the start, look, there's the contact, and that it kind of all instigated from up the road. Oh, I was going to say, the drivers almost managed to avoid him there, but got a little tap. Here we go, Zach.
There we go. Oh, Ewan Bramer, that is a little bit pear-shaped going into the hairpin. A little bit wide as well on the exit for good measure. Dan Hunt picks his way past nicely into 4th. The win may be a little bit out of sight unless he can get past Ewan Bramer and dispatch of the Dutchman quickly, because he's then got Newman and Ayres. He sends the move, commits to it, and Bramer sees it coming, allows him the space, side by side on the exit. 1 to go with 40 seconds on the clock. Ayres and Newman, are they going to be the only ones in contention by the time we get here to the end of race 3? A little bit of a bump tap as the 2 SOB cars, I have to say, working together quite nicely.
They certainly are. They're trying to get themselves some more maximum points in the Drivers' Constructors' Championship there. As there is Daniel, so he is up at a P3, so that is about the best he could do. I think because of that little incident before, took any chance of getting that race win away, and my predictions from being correct. But I'd have to say Jamie Ayres now has this one, doesn't he? He's got enough of a gap, as long as he doesn't make a mistake. Just bring it on. I don't think Pete's still going to send another charge, because Pete's gained 10 positions in this race. And looking to gain 11. All he has to do is dispose of that red car that's up the road there for the number 46 machine. It's just easy. Just overtake.
Just do it.
Don't think about it.
Quicker.
Get it done.
Just don't overthink it. Just do it. Just whatever. Just drive. It's as simple as that. Surely Pete Newman, he is going to give it a go at driving. Could this be an absolute worldie of a move? I think it might well be the last lap. The send for the lead. The Pure Sims driver takes the lead away from Jamie Ayres through Lukey Highs. That was bold. It was brave. It was brilliant. And Pete Newman might etch his way into the 3rd race winner of the evening. Lap number 9, and it comes down to this. The top 6 not really separated by much at all. 3/10 apiece between them. Is there going to be any sensational runs to the line? They emerge into the camera shot, and you can barely see some of them as to how close they're running, one behind the other. Pete Newman through the final corner. The Pure Sims driver, after a horrific race 1 and 2, is going to seek redemption in race 3. It's down under, it's Phillip Island, it's race 3, and it's victory for Pete Newman. But a 3 wide moment, photo finish across the line for second. Jamie Ayres, Dan Hunt, in second and third. What a race.
Oh, yeah, 10,000ths of a second. I thought Hunt might have actually got that P2 there, stole it away from JB. But that's exactly what we spoke about, didn't it? It doesn't matter where those positions were a few laps ago. If you're in P3 or P4, it's where you end up on the final lap. And that's exactly what Pete timed that overtake perfectly. He had to be bold and brave to do it, and you have to be bold and brave to be a racing driver, and got the job done. And Roger Morton will be our first driver to take a AM win away from Mr. Where is he? I'm trying to find him through the grid here. Daryl. Yes. But Daryl ended up getting that P2, so that's pretty good, because Daryl had to gain his way through the field there from that random grid. Race results should be coming up very soon for us, as the drivers are just finishing up their laps.
Yes. Going into race number 4. I'm going to pick early. I'm not entirely sure what the reverse grid is. But I'm going to go with... Jamie Ayres for race 4. That's what I'm going to commit with. Nice and early. I think he is going to be one to look out for. Just waiting, I think, for the race session to tick to 0, because Colin Sansom isn't out on circuit at the moment. So, of course, just waiting for him to essentially just end the session for us. Actually, no, he is out on circuit, I think.
Yeah,
there he is. Yeah, Colin Sansom as well. Into 5 minutes of warm-up before we then head ourselves into the final race of the evening. Let's talk you through the final finishing orders of race 3. Pete Newman, Jamie Ayres and Daniel Hunt, only 10, even less than that, 9 1,000ths of a second between those two at the end of the race, ahead of Ewan Bramer and Miles Owens, the top 5. Only 1.1 seconds separates the top 6, as John Sylvester is in behind. Steve Efford 7th, with Roger Morton, the winner of the AMs, tops Darrell Wright as the AM winner, ahead of Tom Griffiths and Darren McLean, the top 10. Darrell Wright keeps consistent, though, second place in the AMs, first and second. Definitely not a bad track record to keep. Then comes Cullinan, Littler, Van Gool and Diemer in 15th, with Sarah Toon, Mick Barry and Fiona Siddons in 18th place. The final 2 drivers, of course, at the back end of the field, unfortunately, are those that haven't quite had the best evening of racing. You can see there, Charles Kellerman, Colin Sansom, both involved in an incident together, and both running off the final 2 places of the finishing order of race 3. Race 4 yet to come, Biggles, and... well, let's see what these guys have got in store for us, right?
Yeah, we've got predictions, of course, as they get another... What are these drivers getting another break for? Come on. Get on with it. You don't need another break. You just had a little short race. It's nothing. You're going to get back into the action as quickly as possible. You just had a break before. But interesting, get your predictions out there. I do apologize that for some reason, obviously, we changed sessions, that iRacing doesn't allow us the ability to go back and look at those replays, because that would be fantastic. We could actually analyze what went right and what went wrong for those drivers before. So if you do have any contacts in iRacing, give them a shout out and say, hey, can we keep the previous race replay sessions up there so we can scroll through it and have a look? Doubt that they're going to listen to us, are they? Too busy focusing on what they do best, which is making sure that the cars are as accurately as possible to the real thing.
iRacing does that well. So...
is it your favorite racing sim out there from anybody else in the chat?
Oh, I mean, there are a lot to choose from. They all have their perks. So iRacing, you're going to get variety. You're going to get a great online system. You're going to get great league racing, great physics, but you're going to break the bank. So there's the big drawback, is that it is expensive. Then you get Race Room, which has a great online experience with ranked events. It's a great sim in terms of free content. It's cheap content as well. You still have to pay for some things, but it's relatively cheap. You've got good physics, a great commentary team, because it's me, and just all in all, a fantastic sim. Very much enjoy Race Room. There's always competitions going on. And then you've got R Factor 2, which is great for modding, but not really good for sort of your casual sim racer. AC, again, good for modding, but a very niche market nowadays. ACC, if you're into GT3s, which, to be fair, is a very oversaturated market. But if you want wet weather, you want a variety of circuits, you want great online, you want great league racing, you want great endurance racing, ACC is the one to go. There are pluses, there are minuses to each and every single sim. They all have their ups, they all have their downs. Honestly, I don't really mind. I enjoy commentating on all of them. Actually, tell you what, that's a lie. ACC, for commentating, not for driving, for commentating is by far my least favourite. Because, oh my goodness me, is it a pain. So there we go. There are my opinions. There's the Zach Sweeney guide to sim racing. Take it as you will. Maybe I'll make a video about it. Who knows? Let me know. You might want to see it. I don't care if you do. I probably won't make it anyway. But you know, if you do, if the demand's there, I'll give you my thoughts, my feelings from a commentator's perspective. But yeah, I don't know. There you go. There's my sim rundown for you.
Yeah, and you're right about like race room as well too. As it's great for commentators and broadcasters because you just put a slash in there and you can actually don't have to buy and purchase any of the cars and tracks to do that, which iRacing, pay attention please, because I've spent over a couple of $1,000s and I've never driven a single lap of iRacing once just to broadcast that. I need to invest all that money. Unfortunately, my yacht is getting repairs done at the moment there, Phil. That's why you don't see it out there in the water. So, yeah, and going back, obviously, yes, I agree with that on the ACC side. I think you forgot one of them too, didn't you? The other sim that's still in beta.
Oh, Rennsport. Yeah.
Yes. I haven't never commentated that or even have it.
I've never driven it because I don't have the beta key. I've never commentated on it because ESL haven't asked me to yet. Well, I say yet, as if they'll ever. Probably won't because they've got an elite commentary team of Ewan O'Leary, Lewis McGlade, Arjuna Kankapati, George Morgan. Who else have they got? They've got loads of people. ESL, they're top flight stuff. But maybe one day, who knows? Yeah, but yeah, Rennsport have got a very strong player base already. The only problem with it is another GT3 sim.
Yes.
Which, as I say, is a very oversaturated market. Everyone has GT3s at this point, so yeah, it's tough. But if they can do it right, they can do it right.
Yeah, we should hurry up and get it open up there so the rest of us can start fiddling around with it. Perhaps getting some racing leagues as well too, so that I don't know. You give to me, you're just giving so much an advantage. Just simply get this grid up at the moment as well. I think you're giving so much of an advantage to these drivers that have got well over a year now, had plenty of experience with it. You're going to jump in at the moment, and you're going to a year to catch up if you want to compete with some of the best drivers in the world in that sim. There you go. Here is your grid for our final race.
Darren McLean, Tom Griffiths, the front row ahead of Roger Morton and Steve Hefford on row 2. Then comes Sylvester and Owens, Bramer and Hunt on the top 4 rows ahead of Jamie Ayres and Pete Newman. The top 10, Darrell Wright starts just outside alongside Ralph Cullinan on row 6. Before we work our way through the rest of the pack. In fact, no, we won't. We're already underway and racing here for the final race of the evening. What a start that is from Tom Griffiths, who's already catapulted himself alongside potentially Darren McLean as they run their way towards turn number 1. Unfortunately, not quite been able to get his nose alongside, or has he? In fact, Roger Morton as well sat idle. From this angle, those MX5s look like they're barely moving, but I can rest assured they very much are moving at a rate of knots. Tom Griffiths at a rate of knots picks his way into the lead of this race. Roger Morton follows him through as well. Nice move to the inside of turn number 2. Steve Hefford making some good progress going forward as well. Jamie Ayres also up a place ahead of Daniel Hunt. All those fast guys in and amongst the pack, though, they're going to have to get a move on quickly as to not risk falling behind.
Look at the gap that Tom's got already. Bingo, way up the road. Loving that. Steve's got to be looking to chase him down. Is he going to get past Roger, of course, in a separate class? It shouldn't be a problem for him, but it's a matter of, not a matter of when, it's a matter of how long is it going to take you. Because he's now starting to bunch up the rest of this pack here. There's Jamie Ayres that you picked here for your race win of this one. 3 positions gained there. And, whoa, massive accident. That's huge.
Oh.
That's huge. There's a lot of big names in this accident.
There are the likes of Ayres, Cullinan, McLean, Darrell Wright as well, Owens. Huge accident at the start of this race. Going on to lap number 2. What has happened in... Well, that's whatever happened. And there's more. Roger Morton sent sideways. Facing the wrong way.
Oh, that's going to be...
Dan Hunt involved as well. Pete Newman, PVG involved. Huge names already in trouble.
And that's going to flip everything around. Who else is having a little bit of a spin? That's Pete off. This has all gone absolutely pearl-shaped for our final race of this evening. And not even get a second to go through and have a look at all this. Like, have a look at this at the moment. Daniel's still out there. Has he got any damage? No. So there it is, Daniel. You got to give it for Column now. He didn't have a very good race last one. Now he's up 14 positions, avoiding all that carnage, and in the lead of the AM class.
Nicely done. Bit by bit, picking his way forward.
Comes Daniel.
And Daniel Hunt putting some pressure on. Let's see what the champion can do. Of course, already taking a race win this evening. Back into the top 5, but such a spread out grid already, and we've still got 12 minutes of racing to go.
Now, just wondering what caused all this. Let's have a look at the replay. It's Jamie Ayres that we're kind of looking at the moment. Now, is that where it gets pearl shaped? There's contact there. Bingo. Jamie Ayres actually hits him. So it was John, wasn't it? And after that, it's just, well, a bumper car ride. This is further upfield. Was it Morton? It was Roger, perhaps, wasn't it? Just having a look. That's just, I don't know. We'll come back and have a look at it. We have live racing, of course, to continue at the moment. Jay and Daniel still hasn't found a way around John Sylvester just yet.
Not quite. John Sylvester is very much a machine when it comes to defending. His defensive driving is sensational. His exit of that hairpin, though, not so much, as he gets a little bit of a slide going on the exit. That could hamper him. That could give Hunt the leverage that he needs to pick his way past. But already a clear breakaway from Griffiths. Hefford and Bramer, he has, because of the contact that happened when the spinner of Roger Morton. Dan Hunt was the first driver to get involved with that, and now you've got Hunt, Sylvester, side by side, a drag race through the pit straight, pulls out left to the outside as Daniel Hunt. He finds his way past, nicely done, into fourth. Let's see if he can work his way forward, or if he's going to have to hold station.
It's not the usual speed that you saw, especially when it took him a little bit to get the overtake done. Further back of the field here, we have Darrell on Fiona. And it's one of the first times we actually get a little bit of a look at Fiona and Fiona's livery. Hello out there. Fiona Siddons, 59 machine, battling it out currently at the moment there with Charles Kellyman, another driver we haven't really had too much of a time to put the camera on this evening. And I guess that's the very reason, because we have a lot of the Top Gun names out, as you can see. This is the opportunity that you seize if you're the other racing drivers. You gotta seize on somebody else's misfortunes at the end of the day. Yes.
Of course, these opportunities don't come around too often. Side by side, Sir Alan Toon versus Mick Barry on his, Darrell Wright, I should say, on his outside. He picks his way past. Sir Alan Toon finally getting a little bit punchy. He's fighting away, but in the end backs out. Doesn't really want too much to do with that battle. Still 4th place in the AB, still 10th place overall, but for how much longer? Fiona Siddons sends the move. Work guard by a result driver. Now has the outside going through Lukey Heights. That's always tough, but no, it's not worked. I was about to say it might work. It hasn't, unfortunately, for the 59 machine. And there is a send from them, but no way through for now as we get completely blindsided by that sponsor board. But yeah, I mean, for these guys, it's very rare that you have 3 big names out of this race. It's very rare that you have Hunt damaged in a race. All of that happening at the same time. It's your perfect opportunity to go and, capitalize. That's why we've got 5 AMs in 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. That is huge news for them, and some big points now on offer.
John Sylvester there. Just wondering what happened. There was an overtake or not. That telemetry is really not liking this. Yes, he did too. He got the overtake done because of the damage. This was the overtake done on the replay. This will be an interesting place. If you get the exit speed like that, isn't it? That's definitely going to be some damage there on John's car. I mean, Daniel's car, look at that. It's just scrubbing so much speed off us in the straight line, even when he tucks in behind. To get the slipstream, just doesn't have the same speed. But you got to nurse whatever you have to the best of your ability home. Because that part of a good racing driver is being able to deal in situations when your car is a bit bumped up, and Fiona unfortunately has gone off. Just we switch the camera over. It's just getting Andy, oh sorry, who's that went past us? Jamie. Jamie's still out there at the moment with once again, a very open. There's a spin as well too. Who is that? Alan. Alan's off. Everything is absolutely gone pearl-shaped. It's like, I don't know what's happening there, Zach. They're just like throwing everything in the kitchen sink in this race.
They are. They're not leaving anything. The thing with race 4, those that are familiar with the UK SimRacers will know, it's either 100 or it's 0, and there's nothing really much in between. It's either the best race you've ever seen or just a bit meh, or is, you know, it oscillates between 100 and 0 all over the place. Whether it's going to be boring for some is that
Yes.
is unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. That should not be happening in any universe, in any racing series, on any platform, in any car. How have you come together driving in a complete straight line? Tom Griffith, Steve Hefford now out of this race. Let's have a look.
Great
Steve
points
Hefford comes
just
over
like
to the
that.
left.
Yeah, go ahead.
And then, Steve Hefford, what are you doing, mate?
I know. You've gone potentially from a P1 to a P2. Either way, you probably would have had that, gentlemen, to a all-the-way drop down. So almost hovering around just inside the top 10. And they're only lucky that they're just hovering inside the top 10 because there's so many other drivers all spread out. And you got to have a round 2 of this to these drivers. So cool, calm, and collective. I would not want to be in the cool down room with these two drivers at the end of this session. There's that, because yeah, there might be some bad blood fuming between them. Oh, who knows? They could actually be in a chat just laughing about the situation for all we know.
Maybe. I definitely would be. Because I don't know if I have told the story of how I bottled the race win because I ate a chip. I ate it. Good England, that is. I ate a chip. So I turned round to get a chip off my table, turned back, and I was in the wall at Laguna Seca. So we've all made those silly mistakes. It's just, yeah, unfortunate when they do happen, especially when they cost you a race win in a championship as hotly contested as this one. 6 minutes left to go. Hefford and Griffith still keeping each other company out on the racetrack. Maybe there's some bad blood. Maybe there is some animosity. Maybe they're still all buddy-buddy, still all best friends, still chuckling away at their steering wheel. Darrell Wright, though, up in 8th place. Not quite as impressive as Colin Sansom, still rocking up inside the top 5.
He is, and well, Darrell, because Darrell at this point, my friend, he's gonna be probably squeezing past these guys, even though they're a different class, because you can see how dinged up they are. Look at that, Darrell's just on top of them. If they would be, the honor system really at the end of the day, let him through, because your battle's kind of done and dusted between those two. They're going to still continue it, but let this man get on with his business up the road, because he's trying to catch, of course, as you said, Colin Sampson, who's next up on his list, but a bit of a gap to catch. 8 seconds, you never say never. And there it is. So the drivers did do that. I'd have to say that's great sportsmanship between them. And then, because you're obviously, and now Mick is going to be charging through them too, as well too, because you got no damage. Let them through. Continue on your own race. Daniel can't catch John anymore. He's trying to keep him honest there in that P2, but obviously with that damage he sustained. And yeah, it's very, very strange. Look at that. You can see Barry at the moment wants to get past him here. He's like, move out of the way, guys. Come on. You got damage. I'm clearly a quicker driver. Comes the power slide out of the corner as well, too, because he's just having to just move out of the way there, and it's compromised some of Mick Barry's time there. That pink livery on the inside there, too, Zachary.
Yeah, very, very pink. So there's that. But fair play, McBarry. I mean, we respect. Is that pink? Is it purple? I don't know the difference.
Depends on what your resolution on your color control of your monitor set up, I guess, too. So there's the two going at it there. Sorry, Zoe. There's Colin. So not bad, as you said there, for the leader of the AM class. But he's got. This is going to be. It'd be great to have it in the last battle, but unfortunately, Darrell's way down the road there right now after he just managed to clear the two drivers with the damage. But Colin Sampson wants to clear Mr. Lee. And Lee has gained 11 positions in this race, in a different class, but he's in the pro class. Well, Tom's dropped as well, too. These two are just going for it, too, for now. Here, look at this. Yeah, they're getting overtaken by the other drivers without the damage, as we kind of expected. Just bringing home, boys. I kind of figured they're going to be almost in the top 10, give or take around that. With 3 minutes to go. This man survived it all, didn't he? 6 positions gained. And is going to definitely seize the opportunity of other people's misfortunes. And the Dutch driver has got all the Dutch courage he needs for the SOB racing team.
Yeah, he's been carrying it forward. SOB in general have had an awesome day. 4 seconds between himself, Sylvester, and Hunt. So he's just been on top form. And fair play to him. I mean, he took that win, was it race 1? Now, race 4, it's been a circle for Ewan Bramer. I mean, race 2 and 3 weren't too bad at all for him. But since, it's just been Yeah, Ewan Bramer on top. There's not really much more you can say to it. Charles Kellerman fighting away with Mick Barry, who's up in 7th place and an AM podium as well. Let's not forget, of course, whether Charles Kellerman finds a way past or not will still be an AM podium. But Mick Barry wants all the points he can get. What an evening it's been for Mick Barry.
Yes. Again, you got to be in it to win it, and you're going to put the car in the right direction. And good wet racing, very good racing. Oh, there's contact. Oh no. I think we spoke a little bit too soon about that, Zachary. You commentated cursed it, even though you commentated coincidence. I can't speak English properly. So Kellyman's around. It is definitely. This is just turning into, I don't know, Zachary. It's, look at the gaps now between the drivers as well in the interval with a couple of minutes to go. Playing with their food as Bill across there says it's Barbie pink. Oh, like Barbie. All right. And look at that. You've only got Andy and Mr. Toon. Really, the closest battle. Everybody else is way down the road. I saw a big group of crashed cars here. No, this is just all incidents that are coming in at once, I think, from race control. That's Miles saying that these drivers are having column here. Now, if he's come together with anybody, sends it up the inside there. It is turning into each other. Oof. And a car spinning in the opposite direction, also moving to get back onto the track there, is going to be, I don't know, race control, race reports after this one are going to be very, very interesting, you'd have to say, Zach. Not for this man, but perhaps for a lot of the other drivers. We have, what, how many drivers do we have out of this race currently at the moment? 4 to 5?
Yeah, we've got Kellerman, Owens, McLean, Newman, Van Gaal. There's 5 drivers out of this race. But 1 lap left to go as Ewan Bramer is about to start his final tour this evening of Phillip Island. What an evening it has been. I have to say thank you to everyone that has been watching along this evening. Of course, on the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel, thank you to Phil, who's been, being Phil. He apparently said that Mick Barry's car is Barbie pink. So there you go. Fair play. Maybe it is. I don't know, I'm colourblind. I mean, I can see that. I wrote half my GCSEs in green pen thinking it was a black pen, so I can't really comment on colours all too much. But 1 more lap left to go. Mick Barry, 6th place. Bring it on. Yeah,
and 11 positions gained, as well as Colin has gained 16. So a great day for the AM drivers, as you mentioned. He's fighting the car a little bit. But once again, they're seizing the opportunity from other people's misfortunes, and you've got it. Once again, you've got to always put the car in the right place as well and make quick decisions. It ain't 100% over yet, because Andy is going to be battling out with his teammate there of Alan Toon. So the work guard by result racing team, start switching up between them or not? So shall see.
Side by side. And he lit the backs out of it though. Sir Alan Toon around the outside. That is what we like to see from Sir Alan Toon. That's more like it. That's the battling when we say Sir Alan Toon, get your elbows up. That's what we like to see from the man himself. Ewan Bramer though has not got very long left in this race. The 2 Momo cars, the 2 very battle-scarred Momo cars of Hefford and Ayres fighting for 9th place with their very, very dinged up front-ended MX5s. That is not fun to drive. I can tell you that for free. We'll cut to Ewan Bramer though in just a moment because the gap has closed, but I think it's been a parade lap for Ewan Bramer. It was race 1 victorious. He's going to come across the line in race 4 here in Melbourne, Australia, of course. And there we go, Ewan Bramer across the line. What a race it has been for the Dutchman. 2.5 seconds clear of teammate John Sylvester, Dan Hunt as well, rounding off the podium. All 3 of them have had a stellar evening of racing, and fair play to them. I mean, that is just incredible.
Oh, it's not over yet. It's not over yet. I think we're jumping the gun here. This is going to be a photo finish.
McBarry's going to do it.
You're going to have to do the James there, mate. Exactly. McBarry! I can't do it like James.
No.
Got Ralph on there by thousandths of a second. Another photo finish close, but it's about it. There's Ralphie. And Jamie, here's your prediction on this one, my friend. Look, coming together again. So still something between these 2 drivers that they'll have to have a bit of yarn about after that race. Once again, we hope that at the end of the day they might just have smiles on their face and have maybe a giggle about it, but rather than bad blood. But then again, when you're racing, isn't it? It brings the adrenaline out in you, and you can get feisted up. It's a competition. It's a sport. So sport brings out the best of us sometimes, and also brings out the worst of us.
Very much so. We'll bring up the final finishing order here for race 4 before we make a wrap on this broadcast and say goodbye to the UK SimRacers for another week before we get back going in the Hungaroring. 15 minutes of racing. We've had an hour in total over the course of our 4 races. And Ewan Bramer is the continuous beacon amongst it all. He took race 1 and he's managed to now cross the line and take race 4 as well, I should say. John Sylvester, his teammate, and Dan Hunt joined him on the podium. Mahela Colin Sansom, the AM winner, in 4th place. Darryl Wright rounds off the top 5 with Mick Barry just behind. 3 AMs, all inside the top 10. 2 of them inside the top 5, 1 of them just out. What a run for these AM drivers. Ralph Cullen, Tom Griffiths, Jamie Ayres and Steve Hefford on some not great pace round off the top 10. Fiona Siddons making herself useful and moving herself forward really nicely in that race up to 11th place ahead of Littler, Sir Alan Toon, Roger Morton and Miles Owens. The lead teamer Charles Kellerman, Darren McLean, the top 18. Then comes Pete Newman and PVG, 2 DNFs at the back of the field. We had a lot of DNFs there, Biggles, but summarise this evening. I mean, your return to the UK SimRacers, they welcomed you back with open arms.
They did. It was fun. Those first 3 races were absolutely great. This last one is one that you wouldn't really want to put on your books for most of the drivers. Of course, a lot of dirty racing and not so fun, you'd perhaps have to say, because with all the wheel-to-wheel racing we had, remember at the start, we had to gaggle those cars, didn't we? 5 cars, 6 cars all battling it out, hogging out for the lead of the race. And then, of course, it all just kind of went a little bit pearl-shaped, as you can sort of see how this is all starting to result on our replay there and the argy-barginess and stuff like that. But as I said, that's also great for the other drivers too, wasn't it? Because they get an opportunity to get some great points here this evening. And especially, as you said earlier at the top of the show, during the fact that we're getting closer and closer to the end of the championship. So, hey, I'll take any of those any day. And that's where it all kind of starts to go wrong, as you'll see soon. Yeah, I think just real quick there before we do wrap it up, like, in what sort of instigated his first lap incidents there?
A lot. Just one thing after another, unfortunately catalysed a whole heap of events. We don't know what the new scores are on the commentator viewers. I'm sure if we can, I mean, we've got 2 options. We either, take this week as a drop week and just ignore it because we haven't been able to keep proper track of it, or we let James and Rhea scratch their heads and try and figure out some form of points. Either way, it's not my problem to deal with. I'm just going to sit here and look at the scores when we come back next week. Speaking of, a week's time, round number 9 of this beautiful championship will be taking to Hungary on the 7th of November. Mark it in because it's something you're not going to want to miss. The big man, James Parfitt, is going to be back alongside me, Zach Sweeney, in the commentary booth. In the meantime, of course, we've had Dean Biggles alongside me. It's been a huge, huge privilege to talk you through each and every single little bit of racing action here this evening. For the UK SimRacers MX5 Season 4 of 2023, round number 8, brought to you down under here in Phillip Island. We had a trick, we had a treat. It's been a full circle Halloween here for us on the 31st of October. It's been amazing. We'll see you next time. In the meantime, take care and goodbye.